Good morning, welcome back to my daily Tour Divide updates. We're on to day 6 now, so let's get over to track leaders and let's see what's been going on. And I'm going to start with Megan Hakkinen because I must say I've been really impressed with her ride. So she's currently at Lava Mountain Lodge. She's behind Michael's dot here. If I highlight her, there she is, bouncing there. So she's at Lava Mountain Lodge. Which is the little lodge just over Togwati Pass. Unfortunately, it's a place I know quite well. That's where I scratched in 2022. But there's kind of a really nice sort of bar saloon there. You get really good food, and there's some little huts you can stay in, and you can grab a shower. And that's where Michael stopped when he set his record back in 2016. So yeah, really, really strong ride from Megan there. And it's just incredible to think that we were... This dot from Michael, set in 2016, was the one that was being chased for so long. The Justyna Slovakia's official divide record was the one that broke it 8 years after it was set. And just to think that, the sport's progressing so much, like Megan's riding so fast that she's ahead of, she's on track for that record, and way ahead of all the the women's records and her own record as well, ahead of the single speed record. Megan absolutely flying. I just think she needs some big kudos there, and she's well in the top 10 overall. So that's Megan. She'll have Union Pass to cross next, so she would have gone over to Togwati Pass. And you can see there's a little group just behind her. So Dries van der Kliege, Yossi Barak, and Felix Laberge, who's still leading the single speed category as well. That's sort of one little group. And then we've kind of got a couple of riders just over the top of Union Pass. I think there might be a little lodge down here. That's the top. There's a little shelter at the top of Union Pass. So it looks like Xavier Chiriboga, he's been kind of riding his way back in. I think he started pretty hard and then he kind of faded a bit, but he seems to be sort of riding back in. He lives at, I think he's like 2,500 meters in Quito in Ecuador. So now he's in these higher passes, getting over 3,000 meters. He's going to be flying through there. And Miku Kenu as well. He's doing a strong and consistent ride as well. They're not too far off the others, although there is a bit of a gap. Yesterday, most of the day, Angus Young and David Chan were pretty close together. Not necessarily riding together, but within a couple of miles, which essentially in Tour Divide terms is at the same pace. Looks like they've both stayed in slightly different places. There's a bit of stuff here on the highway, so David's staying up there. Angus got to Boulder. I think David would have been in Pinedale. Angus stayed in Boulder. We'll have a bit more on that shortly. They were on Justyna Slovakia's 2024 winning pace, which is that official Tour Divide record. I should just clarify, a few people are asking about the records and why Robin's winning pace, this one down here, is not deemed the official record. And there were some fire diversions, and essentially quite often on fire diversions, especially in New Mexico where they predominantly happen, the routes, like for example the Gila, which is where the diversion was last year, is quite a tough off-road section, and the diversion actually goes predominantly on tarmac. There is some dirt roads, but it's not the kind of the original route, and it makes it marginally easier. So basically that's why that is not recognised as the official record. Essentially, to get the official record, you have to complete the entire route with no diversions, which is what Robin, which is what Justyna's did. But Robin, he just had that diversion. Probably doesn't make much difference in the grand scheme of things, but that's the rules. But I think it's good that Robin's time is being recognised, and it's a key marker here. Angus and David were pretty much the pace of Justyna's, but they've dropped off a bit, mainly because I think they've stayed in accommodation overnight, whereas Justyna's, we actually spoke to him on the ULTRASCAPE podcast yesterday. So myself and Becky Waters, my co-host, were joined by Justyna's, and we basically discussed the first half of the race. Got some really good insight from Justyna's as well. So I'll put the link up on the screen if you've not seen that, or you can find it on my YouTube or on Spotify if you want to listen to it on a podcast. Just search ULTRASCAPE. But Justyna's is always a great guest, and his insight was invaluable. And basically, he, as he put it yesterday, slept under a bush in the basin. So whether that was sensible for him or not, who knows? But Angus and David basically dropped off his pace because I think they've stayed in a hotel, whereas Justinus just got into the basin and camped out. So we'll see, relatively if they kind of catch up again. Lawrence, he's looking fairly solid in third. He's on the highway here before Atlantic City, and I pretty much know exactly where he is. If you saw the film of Lachlan Morton doing his attempt a number of years ago, there was a scene where he basically got stuck in a massive storm and sheltered in I think it was like just a service station, just like I think there's like a toilet block and stuff at the side of this highway. That's pretty much exactly where Lawrence's dot is there. So I suspect he spent the night sleeping in a public toilet, which is a classic Tour Divide sleeping spot. We did talk a bit about sleeping in hotels and stuff, and how Victor's been able to do that. And I think the conclusion was in the podcast yesterday with Justinus that essentially Victor's pace is such that he can get to a hotel every night, which is good for him and probably makes him, compounds into a faster time overall. But most people at some point do end up sleeping either out in the wilds, in a portaloo, maybe not portaloo, I don't think you sleep much there, in a service station, or just, finding shelter anywhere they can. So yeah, I definitely think it rewards sleeping properly indoors. As Justinus said in the podcast yesterday, not all sleep is equal. So that brings us on to Victor, and well, he's got a big gap. He's basically got the basin between him and Lawrence in second. As you can see, he's made it into Colorado, made it over the state line, and I think he'll be staying in Brush Mountain Lodge there. I think that's where his dot is. Well, it looks like he's actually moving now, but Brush Mountain Lodge is around here. He stayed there yesterday. We'll pick up on social media and just see a few posts there. Same place as Robin stayed, and Victor's ahead of Robin's pace at the moment. We'll check out the leaderboard in a minute and check out that. So yeah, Victor heading into Colorado and gaining some altitude today and still flying. Conditions still seem to be pretty good. Didn't have any problems in the basin. So far, he doesn't seem to have had any problems whatsoever. It's great for him. The idea of the ideal thing on the Tour Divide is to not have any problems, but it's not so good for dot watching. I think it's much more entertaining when we see like Justinus and Uber and Jens stuck in the porta potty in the basin. Not good for them, but definitely makes for good dot watching. So that's kind of the overview. Before I go on, I just need to thank my sponsors. As you know already, Redshift, they support my ULTRASCAPE podcast and this daily coverage. Just thought I'd talk about some of the product I use. So these quick release clip-on aero bars. I think I've mentioned at some point I'll be doing the Transcontinental race again in a month or so. These are the aero bars I've decided to use. The main reason being that they're just super adjustable. I'm not looking for a super aggressive time trial position, and you can get spacers, you get them higher, you lower, they actually go out really wide as well. And I think having a wider armrests on an Ultra is better because it just eases the pressure on your neck and back. A comfortable ride is a fast ride on these things. They're also quick release, so it makes it easier when you're packing your bike up beforehand or after, or if you need to take anything off for a problem along the way. So that's the quick release aero bars, and they come with a couple of different bend shapes. Although sometimes I just use they're the standard. I think it's 33mm clamp. So sometimes I just use a different shape just to get the perfect position. So that's Redshift. Big thank you to them. Discount codes on the screen as always. And Enduro bearings. Now I've talked about all their bike bearings, but actually one of the core parts of the Enduro bearings business is these massive industrial bearings. So they make like bearings for forklift trucks and conveyor systems and things like that. Really high quality, like really high load industrial bearings. I just thought I'd let people know, because actually it just goes to show they're not just a bike bearing company. And if you can make a bearing that lasts for carrying, I don't know, massive containers at a port on one of those big industrial scale forklift trucks, I'm pretty sure you can make a bottom bracket that's going to last. Nice to know there's some good sort of proof behind the concepts, and these guys know about bearings. Check out Enduro bearings, and that's Enduro bearings. So we'll get over to Rival GPS and have a little look about what's coming up for Victor soon, but I thought it'd be good to take just check out the leaderboard and do a bit of a comparison to Robin's times from last year. So this is pretty much halfway. I think halfway on the Tour Divide is somewhere between Atlantic City and Wamsutter in the basin. So yeah, it's flying by. So you got to Wamsutter, 5 days, 8 hours, and the equivalent at the equivalent point last year for Robin. So Robin was 5 days, 12 hours, 54 minutes. So basically 5 days, 13 hours. So that's quite a gap, isn't it? 10 or so hours, is it? Just under. So yeah, that's some going by Victor. He's really absolutely flying. And it looked like it was fairly windy in the basin yesterday, as we saw on the wind charts. But yeah, it's not much slowing him down at the moment. And we were discussing yesterday on the podcast with Justinas, it's hard to see, aside from storms in New Mexico, if there happens to be some mud, it's hard to see anything slowing Victor down at the moment. So yeah, it remains to be seen though. It is the Tour Divide. Anything can happen. But yeah, Victor's looking good. We'll check out the run rest. I think he's put his average speed up again, I think it was like 14.5 the other day, and now it's 14.8 miles an hour, which is ridiculous. Lawrence is still flying along too, 12.4 mile an hour average. You can see he's put his run time up a bit. We had that message the other day when he was kind of realised he was probably stopping a lot more than the others. So he's actually moving a bit more, and we've seen that gap go up as well. And Angus and David. Angus is actually riding faster. David is probably sleeping less. That might start, biting him further on in the divide. And actually, you can see Xavier and Miku are actually riding faster than David now as well. Only a little bit, but, it's enough to make a difference. So we'll see how that kind of pans out. And Megan, 10.7 miles an hour as well. So she's super fast as well. That was 10 miles an hour was kind of like the magic kind of number not that many years ago for a top result at the Tour Divide. And now, it's a lot of the top 20 or so are riding at that pace. I think that probably does show as well how fast this year is. But the game's changing and it's getting better. And it's good to see. And as you can see, Victor's just way ahead. Continuing his strategy is basically sleeping all night. He's getting in the perfect places, as Becky said yesterday on the podcast. It's almost like, every time it gets dark, there's just a hotel. It's like someone's placed the hotel perfectly for Victor to sleeping. Whether that pattern lasts the entire race, who knows? But at the moment, he's riding a pretty perfect race. And it's hard to see. It's hard. Well, I don't think he's going to get caught unless there's a disaster, to be honest. So yeah, good on Victor. He's doing a good job. So let's just have a little look at Colorado, I guess. Victor's going to start the big climbs. So he stopped at Brush Mountain Lodge, which is here. You can see the veranda there, probably somewhere that a lot of people on the Tour Divide recognise. I think that must be Sand Pass. There has been a bit of a change over the last couple of years. I think last year they introduced a slightly longer way round. If I zoom in, I could probably, if I put my personal activities on, you can see the change. So I used to go up and over and then down the highway, but now there's a slightly longer kind of off-road route which reconnects the highway just before Steamboat. So we can take a little look and see what that's like. I don't think there's going to be any snow up there. It's looking pretty dry. But yeah, this is the kind of view you got. So that's Colorado. That's what Victor's going to be passing over in the next few hours. Steamboat, again, big resupply here. So I think he'll be, he would have had a good feed up at Brush Mountain Lodge. But yeah, Steamboat Springs, good place to resupply. Also a good place if you need any work done on your bike, if you've got any kind of bearings that need replacing or problems or a chain. There's bike shops there. He'll be there during the day. So, it'd be a good chance for him to resupply and get ready for a big push in the second half. And then there's 3 passes that come back to back. You can kind of see on the profile here. I think it's, let me get this right, Lynx, Gore and Ute, I think are the 3 passes. I think that's the order. So, yeah, they kind of cross over. They're all fairly easy. Lynx, I think, is the first one, which is the kind of, I guess, the wildest one of the lot. But the passes in Colorado, they're not really they're high, don't get me wrong, but they're all pretty, drivable in a 4x4. There's nothing too technical. So I think Victor, on his gravel setup is going to be flying over these passes. And and then once you get on, I think it's Links. Is this Links Pass? I can't remember. I get the 3 modelled up, but it gets easier as you get on in this section. And then the last one before Silverthorn, I think this is kind of pretty fast going, to be honest, on the tarmac, quite a lot of it. So that should be pretty easy. I'd imagine, I don't know whether we'll get to Silverthorn tonight or not. I imagine that'll probably be a bit of a push for him. We'll probably try and get there. And then you're up over the real big passes like Boreas and Marshall Pass as you get sort of through the centre of Colorado. So that's what I think Victor's going to be doing. This is obviously the Riber GPS with the community photos on there. I will just put the wind layer on just to see what the other guys are going to be experiencing. Obviously, Lawrence is getting into the basin. He'll be going across Atlantic City. It looks like the wind switched direction. So Victor had it coming from the west, but it does look like it's not quite as strong as it was yesterday when we checked it. However, Victor would have had a bit of a tailwind going into the basin and then a crosswind. It looks like the other guys, so Angus, David, and probably Lawrence, maybe not so much Lawrence at the moment. He's going to be heading sort of south again soon. Looks like they're going to be getting a headwind kind of into the basin and then just a crosswind the other way. So yeah, it shouldn't be too bad. It's not a dead headwind for the bulk of it, so that should be okay. And it looks like not much in the way of wind when you get into Colorado, but then you've got things like elevation to deal with. So that's the news on the wind. I'm sure that's something you are very excited for. Let's finish up with a few little messages and have a little scroll through Instagram. So first up, I've got, what have we got? We've got a voice note from Megan. So let's hear from Megan and see how she's getting on.
Tour Divide update, day 6. I just arrived at Lava Mountain. It's kind of early. It's only 8:17, but I'm going to check in and get some good sleep and then head up Union Pass tomorrow morning and into the basin. I guess I wanted to share some cool interactions with dot watchers. When I was going through Red Rocks Nature Preserve, I encountered a bunch of my fellow Canadians, and they were waving flags and playing my song, aka "O Canada." It was really fun to see them. It was just after sunset, and it just brought a smile to my face. Who else did I see? Oh, I'm blanking out on all the stories I wanted to... Oh, the people making sloppy joes out of elk meat in the forest. That was surreal and delicious. And then I met a woman doing the Trans Am where the route overlaps at Coulter Bay Lodge. And she read my book and knew who I was and said I inspired her to do the Trans Am and was randomly getting to meet me. So, that was kind of cool and crazy. Anyways, another good day. And, wish me luck in the basin tomorrow.
So so that was Megan, and obviously loads of dot watchers coming out, and it's one of the cool things about Tour Divide is people come out and cheer the race on. So that was Megan. Although being English, I don't really know what sloppy joe is. So if anyone from the States in the comments could let me know, it'd be good to have a translation on that. I guess it's like some kind of hot dog or something like that. So that's Megan. Sounds in good spirits, and mentioned the Trans Am, so on Togwati Pass. That is on the Trans Am route as well, which is kind of like the road coast to coast of the US race. When I was last there, 22, I saw again road with some of the riders who are doing that. Obviously the Tour Divide runs parallel, but at certain sections of that pass, you are on the highway, and you do see other cyclists. So that was Megan. Another little video. Angus is pretty good at sending over videos. This is we're getting to the stage now where standards are dropping. So I think I said he was staying in a hotel. That was a total lie. It's not. He was staying in a post office in Boulder. So this is where Angus slept last night.
Final update from me. 360k done, and I'm sleeping in a post office in Boulder.
So that is the classic kit explosion everywhere. So yeah, hopefully he's out nice and early before anyone comes in, because his shorts are hanging on his bars there. So I suspect there's not much else going on underneath that. So someone could get a shock if they come in there early. But that's Angus. So post office is a fairly good place to sleep. At least it's warm and dry, and yeah, definitely helps the recovery when you're in a warm place as opposed to being outside. So let's finish up just some Instagram stories. This is David, and that would be Angus just ahead, I suspect. They were together quite a bit yesterday. So yeah, the two of them were together. Not sure what's going on with my Instagram here. And then, well, this is Megan. So let's check out Megan. My Instagram signed out. There we go, Victor's working. So there's Victor. So that bit going across the basin. Right, so yeah, having a few technical difficulties there with Instagram. But yeah, basically, Victor's sent a little message saying he was traveling. Well, he's obviously sleeping well, feeling good still, as we can probably tell by the by the pace he's setting as well. So yeah, so that's my daily Tour Divide update for day 6. Back again tomorrow, so we'll have that sort of chase group heading into the basin. Victor heading through Colorado, and yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if Victor can keep that pace on. So thanks again for watching, and catch you again tomorrow.